The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon. My name is Lori Fox, and I am the past chair of the SIGUX Executive Committee. It is my pleasure to be your host for today's webinar, and I'm going to start showing my screen. I have just a little slideshow of some updates, and then I'll turn it over to our fantastic presenter. First thing I want to do is remind you that for our SIGUX webinar, everyone is muted. The session is being recorded. You can visit YouTube next week to see the recording. You can ask a question in the questions tab, or you can raise your hand. So if everyone would say hello to me or raise your hand, then I'm sure that you can hear me. Oh, thank you, Alan, Susan. Nice job, Shannon. Okay. So we will have time for questions towards the end of Mo's presentation. I'll go to the next slide here. The SIGUX annual conference was moved to March 2021, and we are still hoping that we can be together in person in San Diego, California. Watch for more information about that. I know that the conference committee has their plenary speakers selected, and we're starting to talk about those, and they have lots of fantastic things planned for us in San Diego in March. We just finished our most recent book in the book club. The next book we're reading, and we have 2 months to read it, is called Creative Trespassing. I'm very excited about this because I think that everyone can use some spark and joy in their work and life. We'll read the book over the next few months and discuss it in Slack and in a hangout at the end of September. The SIGUX Awards are soon going to be available. There will be an announcement in August. We have the Penny Crane Award for Distinguished Service and our Hall of Fame Awards. Nominations will be open in August and September with a deadline of December 1st. So I encourage you to nominate your colleagues for these prestigious awards. We also have the Communication Awards. That cycle has already started. You can submit your own communication work and that of your college. The deadline for that is October 14th. The thing that I like the most about these communication awards is even if you're not a winner, you get feedback from the selection committee, and it really is helpful feedback to help you improve the quality of your communication to the campus. So the communication award process is going on right now. We have one more webinar scheduled for August, communication skills and teaming. This is a replay of one of my favorite presentations from SIGUX 2019. Teaming was a new concept to me, but it is fantastic for project management, and Christy is a wonderful presenter. So we have that coming up in August, and there will be a new series announced later this summer. SIGUX membership has many benefits. The mentoring program is something that is truly unique and wonderful about our organization. And the 2020 cohort is finishing up, and soon we'll be starting a new cohort for the 2021 year. You must be a member to participate in that. It also gives you access to the ACM Digital Library, which is a great resource of all of the SIGUX presentations over the years. You can stay in touch with SIGUX and connect with your colleagues either through email, Facebook, Twitter, or Slack. I think we have a great Slack community, and we have channels that are specific, and anyone can create their own channel to participate in. So, Mo, I'm going to stop presenting. Oh, it did stop already, right? And I'm going to change presenter mode to you.
Okay.
And Mo, I'll keep an eye on the questions for you. And if it's something I think we should ask right away, I will hop in and interrupt you. Or if you want to ask questions of the group, I'm happy to help facilitate that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, take it away.
Is the main screen showing?
Yes, it is. You're good to go.
Okay, great. Let's see. Here we go. Thank you for coming to this session or this webinar. My name is Mo Nishiyama, and today we are going to go ahead and this is our menu for today. First, we're going to talk about who I am and where I'm from, our old knowledge base and its history. And then I'm going to talk about the new help and how-to and how it's like Gumbo. Also going to talk about the essential ingredients that make up an effective support document system, and then what we're going to do in the future. So when we first started the help out, when we first started the help and how-to, it was from the ashes of really old and dilapidated systems that were not pleasing our customers. It was very poorly received. Our credibility with our customers were just really bad. And we made something out of it, just like how Gumbo. The evolution of these documents have been shaped over the years by various initiatives and events, just like the official state dish of Louisiana, the Gumbo. And the reason why we're talking about Gumbo is because the SIGUX 2019 conference was held in the wonderful city of New Orleans, and it just felt like the right, appropriate, delicious analogy. First, about myself. I am a technical writer in the Information Technology Group's Communication and Collaboration Services team. The technical writer position was originally a limited duration position lasting no longer than a year. We have senior trainer, several communication specialists on our team. We used to have 5 people, but now it's 7. And our mascot is Hell's Unicorns, courtesy of one of our trainers. So I'm from Oregon Health and Science University, located here in Portland, Oregon, or located in Portland, Oregon. We have over 17,000 employees with over 700 folks in the IT department, almost 3,000 faculty members, and nearly 5,600 students who are enrolled amongst 5 schools and colleges. Now, you might be wondering why we have such a disparate high number of employee to faculty and student ratio. Get to that in just a moment here, because OHSU has many missions. OHSU has 2 hospitals on its main campus, 2 partner hospitals in the Portland area, and dozens of clinics and specialty care areas across the state of Oregon and in Southwest Washington. The healthcare mission of the university is what accounts for the reversed staff to students ratio compared to traditional universities. OHSU also has a strong research mission. This research mission has generated awards of nearly $500 million, and our researchers have contributed to breakthroughs in the scientific community, including the efforts to combat the COVID-19 pandemic. So what do all these diverse missions at the institution have to do with Gumbo? The needs of these missions shape how we offer IT support documentation to our users. Our documentation have evolved over time due to demands and requirements by these groups Just like how gumbo evolved over time after adopting culinary traditions of Native Americans, African settlers, French, German, and Italian residents, and other people who made Louisiana home. Let's talk about how we started our Help Now To system in the first place. And this is going to be a scary picture. When we first started developing our Help Now To support document collection back in 2014, our intention was to replace a badly maintained and mismanaged dumpster fire, also known as a knowledge base system. Due to several business decisions, the old knowledge base turned into a dumpster fire. We had an IT staff reorganization back in 2009, which eliminated the dedicated and experienced help desk staff who originally contributed to the knowledge base. In their place, desktop support technicians were forced to perform help desk duties as part of their job description, in addition to going out in the field and fixing computers, installing new machines, and doing other IT-related tasks on site. These field technicians did not receive any help desk training at all, because they thought if field techs can go out and do things, they can do help desk work easily without any training, because help desk work is beneath field technical services work. The support shift focused from cultivating proactive documentation to putting out fires. Most desktop support technicians, I mentioned before, viewed help desk work as being beneath them and didn't take the job seriously. This led to general apathy towards creating user support documentation. The management at the time thought it was more effective to throw more body into putting out fires than to prevent the fires from happening in the first place. They also built silos and distanced the support team from the rest of the IT organization, which includes the communications group, process improvement department, and other proactive arms of ITG. The knowledge base system required several organizational levels of approval before changes were published, with managers who prioritized number of calls handled per day over the number of calls prevented. Document review took weeks and sometimes months, if at all. This led to articles becoming stale, irrelevant, and obsolete over time. This also led to this presenter visiting many bars after hours because of frustration. Customers started using knowledge base less than before because it was not reliable. They would rather stay on hold for 20 minutes to talk to a help desk staff than to look at the knowledge base. Obviously, this led to the loss of customer confidence. Eventually, the desktop support technicians became burnt out and resentful. Grumblings about not doing anything proactive to prevent customers from calling about the same stuff over and over and over again increased. The senior executives started hearing more reports and data about customer dissatisfaction, miscommunication, and lack of documentation. Thankfully, the process improvement department of our IT group started taking notice and wondered what the heck was going on. As the knowledge base system was failing in the eyes of many people, the process improvement department was asked by our CIO to do something about this. Improving customer satisfaction became a priority. In 2013, we began a project to migrate remaining useful knowledge base articles into a new help and how-to system. Auditing the existing knowledge base was a scary experience. We discovered that less than 40% of the knowledge base articles were fit for migration. Many articles were rejected on the basis of not meeting customers' business needs. Some were just simple walls of text which detailed obscure edge case instructions, and many were simply outdated or irrelevant. The migration project took about 9 months to complete during 2014. We migrated about 80 articles from the old system into the new Help and How-To system and canned about 120 articles. We created new standards at the time, which evolved over the years, and we'll talk about the standards later on in the presentation. We also established 3 key elements of our Help and How-To articles that were missing from the old system. Let's go back to our friend Gumbo. The traditional gumbo includes a thickening agent, a protein, and vegetables. Of those vegetables, 3 primary vegetables are onion, celery, and bell peppers. They're frequently referred to as the Holy Trinity. We established our helping out to articles like Gumbo. Article templates are our thickener. The business purpose of the article is the protein, and our Holy Trinity, the vegetables, include formatting, audience tone, and visual consistency. When combined together, these elements comprise a style guide for helping out to articles. They create consistency and bind the document collection together. Let's talk about them in detail. When we first started, all helping out to articles initially fell into 2 types of templates. There were the how-to articles, which walked our customers through step-by-step instructions for completing a business needs related technical tasks. They included topics like adding an out-of-office rule in Outlook, which I remember to do this before taking the day off today, and how to set up an iPhone to connect to the secure wireless network. The frequently asked questions answered, why are we doing this and what's in it for me types of questions from our customers. These were often published whenever we instituted new security initiatives at the university or introduced new service. Over the time, we added a couple more templates. How it works is a high-level overview of new services, technologies, or policies. They help break abstract and or complex concepts for our customers. The best practices templates provided tips for effectively using technology, like not putting, I will be out of office on July 30th, 2020. I will be out of town. Don't want to put that in your signature because that is an invitation for unsavory people to break into your apartment and steal stuff. We ensured that the articles answered our customers' business purposes and only published those that met their business needs. We avoided creating articles that were about software features that very few people care about. Edge case topics which generated few inquiries were not considered for publication. We ensured that we explicitly stated what we fully supported and what we gave best effort support on. Those of you who are asked to provide support for BYOD devices can probably relate. We also avoided writing articles which might lead to violation of our network use policy, such as providing instructions for setting rogue Wi-Fi hotspots or connecting a Nintendo gaming console to our secure wireless network. People ask for that stuff, by the way. And our Holy Trinity, the vegetable, is formatting, audience tone, and visual consistency. They are our onions, peppers, and celery. Let's talk about them in detail. Formatting. We added and enforced formatting requirements to our helping out to articles. The titles of all articles begin with an active verb and correlate to business needs. For example, order Dell computer for OSU use, retrieve your voicemail, and install box drive. We removed inconsistencies in title formatting because they were visually distracting from overall cohesiveness. We don't want article collection to include things with disparate titles such as order, ordering, and how to order, all within a document collection. In addition to titles, we established guidelines for using bold and italic text. We designed bold for describing interface labels, italics for on-screen messages, and a combination for critical warnings. We also ensured that text fonts and sizes were consistent amongst all articles. In the old knowledge base system, there were over 6 distinct fonts used in the article collection. Thankfully, Papyrus was not one of them. And the fonts range from size 9 to 24. It was very visually inconsistent and distracting. We adopted and adhered to our organization's audience and voice guidelines. The Guidelines specify that we communicate to our internal audience using the voice of authentic, credible, and inclusive colleagues. This was very important to us because in the old system, there were no unified tone. Some articles were deadpan serious with an air of bureaucracy, while other ones were completely casual. We also stressed using simple and direct sentences whenever possible. This is a persistent challenge for technology professionals, as many of us are afflicted with the dreaded curse of knowledge. That's where you feel compelled to share everything and everything under the sun about a particular topic. It might work in a conference presentation, but not in a customer-facing support article. We ensured that the visual consistency were present in our Help and How-To articles because we wanted to ensure readability and reduce cognitive dissonance. Step-by-step instructions rarely exceeded 10 steps. We broke longer instructions into sub-instruction sections. We specified and required consistent call-out style for our graphics, as well as borders and maximum image width. And whenever possible, we eliminated wasteful blank spaces within screenshots with judicious trimming of those blank spaces. Thank you, Snagit. So what about the cultural influences? I'm glad you asked. The ingredients in Gumbo were influenced over time by various cultures who contributed their culinary traditions to the dish. The thickeners for the dish included the French roux, African okra, and the Native American filet plant. Germans introduced sausages, and Spanish fishermen contributed seafood to the gumbo. Onions and peppers are part of both Spanish and African culinary traditions. In our Help and How-To, we had various cultural influences. These include the new technology services which we introduced to our customers, including our digital identity management system upgrade, Jamf Pro adoption for Mac management, and Windows 10 enterprise migration. And during this year, there has been a new emphasis on remote and collaborative technologies brought to you by the COVID-19 pandemic. Tools like WebEx Meeting, Microsoft Teams, and Smartsheet became hot topics for support articles. The healthcare mission contributed to the emphasis of data protection and HIPAA compliance. Our information security team and their initiatives at the university included implementation of Box.com secure cloud storage, device encryption, security education, and Duo two-step authentication. And then there are our friends in the research and academic communities who want to do their own cutting-edge scientific research and pursue endeavors without being hindered by technology and IT edicts. These business impacting changes helped shape the content and the structure of the support documentation. How did the gumbification of our Help and How-To articles turn out? When the old knowledge base was on its last legs, it averaged roughly 1,100 page views per month. Oh, sorry. Assuming that there were 22 business days in a month, that's over 50 views per, or just 50 views per day. In this calendar year, the Help and How-To articles, in the calendar year of 2019, the Help and How-To articles had averaged over 16,000 page views per month, over 727 views per business day. And this year, the number had gone up even more. During January and February, we averaged over 21,000 page views. You can guess what happened in middle of March. During the month of March, we had 64,000 page views, and in April, 34,000. Yes, they were all related to the COVID-19 pandemic. So, how did we get our Help and How-To articles popular and widely adopted? It didn't happen because we used a thickener, a protein, and a Holy Trinity of vegetables. It didn't just happen because we published a greater quantity of articles. We focused on the quality of articles and regained the trust of our customers over time. Other departments within our IT group and at the organization began noticing Helping Out 2 system. They began linking our articles to campus-wide online training modules and employee news blog articles. The desktop support team added a URL to Helping Out 2 document on the desktops of their Windows 10 builds and also on Mac images to encourage users to view support articles that were pertinent to the operating systems. Our information security campaigns and promotions use Helping Out 2 articles as part of their communications. And various project teams started integrating support documents requirements in their project plans early instead of waiting until the project handoff to the operations team. Addendum about this year. Since the COVID-19 pandemic, Helping Out 2 articles have become a reliable source for technology resources for remote and collaborative technology topics. The success of Helping Out 2 articles also improved working dynamics in our IT organization. The executives began hearing about the popularity and success of the Helping Out 2 articles. The support team began to embrace ownership for proactive documentation. The project teams began having dialogues with support teams early in the project lifecycle. And personally, the one-year limited duration job of the technical writer who curated Helping Out 2 articles turned into a permanent duration job. Yet, this work has only begun. There's so many tweaks that we can do to improve our Helping Out 2 articles. There's so many process improvements that we can put into place. When we first launched the Helping Out 2 articles in 2014, the managers of desktop support teams added the requirement for their staff to author 2 Helping Out 2 articles every year as part of their annual performance goals. It seemed like a very noble and lofty goal. It had the effect of adding new articles to the document collection, but not all articles were useful. It's easy to tell the difference between an article that was written to satisfy job requirements versus one that focuses on addressing customers' actual business needs. We even had 2 staff members who independently submitted articles that were identical. Imagine going into a restaurant and seeing dozens of items on the menu and discovering that some of them seem redundant and some of them don't make sense. That's what Helping Out 2 collection turned into after a few years. We actively audited our article collection and the consolidated number of articles. When we first started, we launched Helping Out 2 article collection with urgency in mind. We did not have a digital asset management or DAM strategy for reusable graphics or text elements. We didn't catalog the metadata for all the graphic elements which we used in our documents. So the same graphic wound up showing up in anywhere from 1 to 20 separate articles instead of using a more efficient publish once, update everywhere method. Obviously, we didn't give a damn about DAM. We started rectifying the efficiency this last year by documenting the graphics that we used, and then we added metadata to them. And right now, about 30% of our Helping Out 2 articles are using the document asset management or the DAM system. We also need time to document the process for the person who's doing the Helping Out 2 article management. Because currently there is one full-time technical writer who's dedicated to overseeing the document. That person happens to be giving the presentation right now. And the task documentation is immature and underdeveloped, kind of like a half-cooked gumbo. When the technical writer is out of the office, during a conference, taking a day off work to give a webinar, or out of office for other reasons, other staff must be able to cover. Other improvements which we want to explore include adding short instructional video as a media type. So involve discussion with our aforementioned IT trainer and support staff and groups who create videos. When will it make sense to add an instructional video in addition to text? And who are the target audience for these videos? We also want to learn and incorporate better practices related for user experience and accessibility. You want to ask yourselves if customers with visual challenges can see the contrast between the foreground and the background text. We want to ensure that those who rely on screen readers are able to find alt text meaningful. We don't want to assume ableism by using action verbs such as quote unquote click and quote unquote read. We want to get to know our customer base better and tailor our documents to their needs. Maybe we need to delve into using personas more often. The research community wants to focus on why we push security initiatives on them. The hospital staff needs quick, unobtrusive instructions so they can focus on taking care of patients. The students need technology to simply work so they can focus on their medical studies. How might we push our IT organization to become mature with user experience? And this is a topic and subject of discussion that has become very important over the last month or two. We want to ensure that our support documents are written with diversity, equity, and inclusion in mind. We want to do better to show greater representation in the fictitious usernames that we use on our screenshots, for example. We want to raise awareness that certain tech expressions and phrases are not suitable. Like, why are some tech instructions still using terms such as whitelist or blacklist or master-slave when there are safer and more appropriate alternatives such as allow list, block list, or primary, secondary? If industry leaders like Microsoft, Google, and Apple and others all make those suggestions in their style guides, why can't we? Just as Gumbo is inclusive of culture and people who added to its evolution, I hope we can say the same thing about our technical documentation. With the increasing anti-racism efforts in our daily work and in our industry, using bias-free language has become more essential and important than ever before. Finally, the biggest catalyst for change in our IT department adoption is ITIL framework. After years of experiencing different IT divisions speaking different languages and using separate support tools, we have started our efforts to unify as one. Our ITIL adoption is a multi-year process which began late last year. We recently migrated a Help and How-To system to another system. We are now using Atlassian Confluence for our Help and How-To articles, which tie in nicely with Jira, which is used for our IT service portal for our customers. Talk about good migrations at the SIGEX Conference 2021. The first 5 years of Help and How-To articles were a great experience. And during the 6th year, we never anticipated the 6th birthday party for the Help and How-To would be held remotely due to the coronavirus. But just like Gumbo has done over time, our support documents and the contents will continue to grow and evolve based on customer needs and what's important. And we're very excited about the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Mo. I was grateful to be muted during your presentations because I did let loose with a few chuckles and some alleluias and amens as I am grateful for your expertise in this area. I know that one area that Mo really helped me in our self-help documentation was templates and style guides. So we have a question, Mo. What recommendation do you have for a group embarking on documentation today?
Recommendation, the important thing is find out what your customers' needs are. Before writing documentation, ask yourself why you are writing documents and what business purpose does it serve, and will it benefit the bottom line in terms of creating this document reduce calls to the help desk encourage people to use self-help with greater frequency, and also will raise the credibility of your IT organization and raise your reputation amongst customers. Those are the things I'd consider when first starting out.
Any other questions for Mo? Well, Mo, I thank you for this delicious, delightful presentation.
Thank you.
And I appreciate everyone that attended, and we can look for this recording next week.
Oh, could I add one more tip?
You can.
Okay. This was not something that was in the presentation, but when I first started working on help and Howto articles, I liberally surfed the web and collected best practices and ideas from other universities, including State University of New York, Geneseo, University of Wisconsin-Madison, University of Oregon, Stanford, and others. There are many universities out there who have amazing support articles that will give you a great starting point for how to write for your audience. And many of those universities have staff members who are part of SIGUX.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic.
So when in doubt, steal.
I call that R&D, rip off and duplicate. All right, I hope everyone has a great afternoon and evening. We'll see you next month for our next webinar. Steal with pride, Tom. That's a great way to end. Goodbye.